Welcome back, learners. This is our final instructional video before your assessment and final decision brief. So let us take a moment to understand what we have covered till now. We started with a question about health outcomes across Asia Pacific. In Module 1, we learned to frame that question properly, not as a vague topic, but as a decision problem. In Module 2, we asked whether the data was fit for purpose. In Module 3, we cleaned, explored, and tested patterns. In Module 4, we built a dashboard, then added secondary research and interview evidence. In Module 5, we turned analysis into insight, recommendation, evaluation, and communication. And now, in Module 6, we have been asking the harder questions: bias, governance, privacy, responsible AI. One more question remains before the brief goes anywhere. Can we trust the AI-assisted output enough to let it shape a real decision? Let us start with something simple. Imagine a hospital using an app to decide which patient needs to see doctor more urgently. The app looks at past patient records. It learns from their past history. It finds a pattern in the records of people who later needed urgent care. That sounds reasonable, and yet this is the cause of the problem. Look closer. Suppose families from poorer communities may not visit hospitals regularly. Not because they are healthier, but because care is expensive, far away, or difficult to access. So their hospital records are thin. Fewer visits, fewer diagnoses, less written down. The app sees thin records and reads them as lower need. Those families move down the priority list. Not because the app was told to ignore them, because it learned from data shaped by unequal access. Now imagine the same app, but with community health surveys and health workers, reports added. Suddenly, those same communities appear as higher need. Same app, different data, fairer result. The app was not broken. It was learning from a world that was. That is algorithmic bias. Algorithmic bias can appear wherever AI systems use historical data to support decisions. Hiring. Which applications get shortlisted? Credit. Who is seen as safe enough for a loan? Public health. Which communities receive resource first? Education. Who gets admitted, supported, or flagged as at risk? In every case, the system learns from the past. If the past left some people out, measured some people poorly, or treated some groups unfairly, the system can carry that pattern forward. It may look new because it is digital, but the unfairness may be old. That is why we audit it. So, what do we do with this? We do not reject every AI output. We do not accept every AI output. We audit it. There are 5 questions you can ask. What was the system trained on? Who is overrepresented in the records? What did it get wrong? What did it miss? What would a careful human analyst catch that it could not? Remember the scatter plot you built earlier. Health spending and life expectancy. The relationship was real. Now imagine an AI tool looks at the same data and says, health spending is the primary driver of life expectancy. Maybe, maybe not. The chart does not support that claim strongly enough by itself. Run the 5 questions. See what weakens, see what holds. This is why this unit matters. It brings the whole course back to responsibility. A decision brief is not stronger because it sounds confident. It is stronger because it is honest about its evidence. It says what the data shows. It says what the data does not show. It names bias and risks. It protects privacy. It checks AI outputs before using them. That is the work you have been practicing. You did not just build charts. You learned to ask whether the chart answered the right question. You did not just use data. You checked whether the data was fit for purpose. You did not just form insights. You tested whether the recommendation was safe enough to act on. You did not just use AI, you learned to question it. That is the full work of data-driven decision making. Not just using data, using it carefully. Not just reaching a conclusion, but knowing what that conclusion rests on. As the last part of the coming units, you need to assemble the full decision brief. That brief is not something new. It is the story of everything you have built, problem by problem, chart by chart, decision by decision. The brief is where it all comes together. See you in the next unit.